Good morning, everyone. Come right on in. Comments are open. Here's a little music for you as you drift into the room. We're going to double check and make sure that things are working great on LinkedIn, which it appears that they are. So it's just perfect. So come right on in. And here we go with a little music to start your day. Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Come on in, everybody. Where are you calling from? And I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. The river running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Hey, Miss Kim, come on in. Dragonfly out in the sun, you know what I mean, don't you know? Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. Sleep in peace when day is done, that is what I mean. This old world is a new world and a bold world for me, yeah, all for me. Hey, Paulette and Michael, start in a minute. Have a little reprise here, and then we'll get going right away. Feel free to share this with anybody. So good to see you all. I hope you feel this way this morning, or this afternoon, or this evening. Stars, when you shine, you know how I feel. The scent of the pine, you know how I feel. Oh, freedom is mine, and I know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. It's a new dawn, a new day, a new life. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. It's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I feel so good. Good morning, Dr. Sharon, and I feel so good. Yeah, I hope you're feeling good too. Hey, everybody, welcome to the call to this live today. This is Leslie Flowers broadcasting from North Carolina in the United States. And yes, Dr. Sharon, absolutely. I do, absolutely do my thing. And welcome to dear Miss Kim, who is, thank you, Miss Kim, is the head of the Happiness Tribe, which broadcasts live every Sunday morning from LinkedIn. Good morning, Michael. Thank you from Hearst, Texas. and from Irana just popping over for the weekend. Yes, normally you do live on Earth, but it's in the United Kingdom, which is across the pond from here. Thank you so much for being here, Paulette, and for joining in today's joy. Let's see, Leanna, thank you so much for being here. You're in Duluth, so you're in the Midwest, and I suspect it's a little chilly there right now. Maybe some sunshine today. We there actually are a couple of karaoke nights. There's one at midnight Eastern Friday nights, and then there's 6 p.m. Eastern with another host. So there are two. Just let me know if you want to be interested, or we can start one ourselves. What the heck, right? Oh, thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Good morning, Terrence. Oh, so good to see you. And here is my friend Ashif. Yes, things are work when we work with focus. You're feeling good. Happy new dawn, a new day. Yes, and today is the sixth sense. How absolutely fun. Hiya, Darielle. How are you? How's that little baby and your beautiful wife? So you can see that we're here with friends, and I have been doing this teaching of Think and Grow Rich in 12-week cycles for some time now. And up until this year, until the end of the year, you've been able to go and listen to any one of the teachings, but we'll be moving those off LinkedIn's platform. So look who is here, Miss Deborah. Welcome to Happy to See You, calling in from Toronto. And also Ashif also is in Toronto, Canada. So glad you're here today. And today's subject is, let me just fix this. Oops. Okay, I don't want to do that. Right. So today's subject is in Think and Grow Rich is what it was called 100 years ago, the sixth sense. And I will tell you, we've learned so much over the last 100 years, right, about the sixth sense. And the very first thing, interestingly enough, that Dr. Napoleon Hill, who wrote this book, this is the number 2 bestseller of all times, written in 1937, second only to the New Testament. It has the exact blueprint for you to be a millionaire. Billions of copies sold, millions or billions. But then the question would be, if this is the exact roadmap to being a millionaire, being happy, healthy, and wealthy, and it's been used the last 100 years by personal development greats who have certainly lined their pockets with millions following this, why isn't everybody a millionaire? So that's a question for this morning. Hey, Christy, so glad you're here. Christy Williams, customer service, a wonderful friend to have. Just watch her, get to know what she does. She's very clever and very helpful on LinkedIn. So even then, 100 years ago, there was some confusion, even though one of the principles of success, this is Carnegie's Principles of Success in this book, which I've been teaching for 16 years, 20,000 hours, just really enjoyed all of these years, because as I taught you, I got to grow higher in awareness every time. You know, when you're teaching someone else, you get it again and again and again. And I have to tell you, at 110 years old, I'm looking good. But that's what happens when your mind is in a good place and you think positively as much as possible, and you hold a high vibration of love and generosity and kindness as much as you can. None of us is perfect. Oh, there's Ifeanyi. So good to see you. So glad you're here. And here we have Joseph. I'm so glad to see you. It's been a while, my friend. And here comes Deb Haas. So what a great group. So get to know each other, ask questions, tell us where you're calling from, and anything that isn't clear, we're going to go for till 10:45. This is a teaching lesson. And so I have found that 45 minutes, less is more. And I usually like to talk to you for a few minutes or sing or whatever. So really, the intensity of this training is in about 30 minutes. So you may want to take some notes. I'll bring you up to snuff about what's been happening over the last 10, 11 weeks, so you won't be lost by any means. Let me just make sure I've got everybody. I do. So, excuse me. So even though this book was written 100 years ago and countless people have become millionaires just following the blueprint, I have extracted from it a process that it just frustrated me so much that people were not achieving their goals consistently. So they were still feeling good sometimes and lousy sometimes. And it seemed to me that there ought to be a way for us to set and achieve a goal, something that we want very much, with consistency. Because the lack of consistency isn't really what we want. We really want to build momentum, right? We want to grow in awareness of our infinite potential. So it's really important that we achieve. And so I went on a search to find the rules for setting a goal, and there weren't any. Nowhere. Further, in 16 years, I'd never met anybody who had taken a class. So that means our parents didn't know. Our teachers didn't know. Our university professors didn't know. So how would we know? Well, we do know things from our haphazard approach throughout our life. The problem is I created the 12 laws of achievement to include the few things that you didn't know and that really fly in the face of everything you do know. So they're really counterintuitive, but they're the very aspects that stop us from any kind of consistent achievement. So that's what I've been doing pretty much over the last 16 years. I studied with Bob Proctor at his knee in 2008 and 2009, and he was the world's thought leader on this book, Think and Grow Rich. So don't ask me why. I'm a girl. I don't know why it intrigued me so much, but let me just say hello here to, did I see Cyrus come in? I did. Oh, I did already said that. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Let me just see. Okay. You would love to read this book. Excellent. And let me tell you, if you're going to read this book, do not read it all. I teach it, and I teach it in my 12-week course, which starts after the first of the year. And we set our goal and we infuse these principles in real time so we can actually prove for ourselves that they work, especially the counterintuitive steps that we all resist because it just doesn't make sense. But just because we don't know how something works yet does not mean it's not working. Right? We've seen miracles, and we're going to get into this a little bit today in the subject of the sixth sense and intuition. We don't have to understand how a miracle works to know it works because we've seen them. So sometimes we tend to reject an idea because we don't understand exactly how it works. I encourage you to let go of that and look for your own evidence. Right? The birth of a child is an everyday miracle, but you ask any mother and father if this was a standalone, unique, one-off miracle for them, and they will say yes. So while it looks humdrum and every day and everybody's having babies, wait till it happens to you, right? So give me some hearts, and I'm not on LinkedIn, but I'll be watching later if you get what I'm saying about this. All right. Okay. Well, we'll talk a little bit about the possibility of errata, which is my book, and that's what Cyrus is referring to. So let's go ahead and get into, for you who wish to read the book, just send me a direct message. You do not have to read all the chapters to begin with. In fact, let me encourage you to read the introduction 3 times before you even touch the first principle, which is desire. There are 13 principles of success, and this is the 13th, but we're still going to have a couple more classes. We're going to talk about the ghosts of fear, so how we can recognize and counteract and counterweigh our fears. We all have them. And we'll also take a look at the subconscious mind, which, as we get into this today, the very first the beginning of this chapter, Napoleon Hill still, or at this point in time, in 1937, did not understand the conscious and the subconscious mind. And prior to that, right around the turn of the 19th century, was Thomas Troward, who was the head of mental sciences. So they had a sense that the subconscious had something to do with this. We know so much more. So next week, I'll just break it down for you in the simplest of terms. There's a war waging, the war between good and evil, between the two voices in your head, between the one that thinks, like the one that's here right now with me, all of you, and the one that reacts emotionally and usually based on fears, so it doesn't feel good. But it's strong because we're all afraid. We have perfect faith in our fears. So our work is with our conscious awareness to begin to build faith in ourselves. And how do you do that? Why, it's quite simple. In theory, all you have to do is set and achieve your goals consistently. Oh, and now you have the 12 laws, which is the checklist. So I will tell you that over the last 16 years, using these laws as they were developed, over 500 12-week goals were documented by my clients, written, percentage-wise, high 90s. Unless there was an emergency, they achieved it, and they used the laws of the universe, including the counterintuitive ones. The ones that say, only set one goal at a time and keep your lips zipped. Do not tell people what you're doing. And, there's counter theories on this. All I can tell you is I've got the evidence. Consistently over time, it works. If you want to be successful in whatever it is you do, you're just missing information. That's all it is. You're just missing a few bits, but those few bits matter. So today is a wonderful lesson, I think, in, let me see who's here. You're late. You'll be driving and you're listening. Harvey's done so many of these. It's such a joy to have you here, Harvey. I'm so glad you're here. Hi, Eunice. So glad that you're here. And there's Mr. Stanley Green, power thinking man. We and I talk about the same things in slightly different ways. And about that, let me just say, don't go with just one person and their point of view, because you won't always resonate with everyone. So I attend Stanley's trainings sometimes, right? He attends my lives when he can, right? And so we appreciate one another, and you may resonate with Stanley on one point and me on another. The whole idea is for you to absorb the new concepts when you're ready. So if you resist them, that's fine. Just move on to the next thing. You'll know when you're ready to be open. And assuming all of you being here, you are all open to what I'm going to share with you. And I better get going here. Oh, there we go. Fantastic. All right. Let me see. What did you say? You read the book years ago and just ordered the audio version. Make sure you get the unabridged. I hope that you got the unabridged. And I'll just tell you which chapters to read. You start with the introduction 3 times, then desire, which is the starting point of all achievement. Then read that again. The next week, faith. The next week, autosuggestion. Read these things 2 or 3 times. Don't get ahead of yourself, because reading and studying is 2 different things, and I want these concepts to open up for you. Let's see. What does Deb have to say? Yep. There you go. There you go. So ask your questions. Here we go. Are you ready to get into this? Let me just see what the heck I have. What is the first? Yeah. Okay. So here we go. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to bring you up to snuff with what we've done so far. And I'm only going to take a few minutes, but this is a linear learning. So when you get to this point, which is the 13th principle, it only works if you get all the others. Okay, so you won't have the wherewithal to understand it 100% unless you understand the other principles. But you do know what intuition is, and you know it's a feeling, not an emotion, and it's a sensing. It's kind of a knowing of something, which is your conscious higher mind. When you react and you're angry or you disagree, That is your subconscious. You're not thinking, you're reacting. And this is where all your fears are. Our job is to create faith in the things that we've never done before or we failed at, which counteracts the fears, which are true. Only one is going to prevail in your life. Most people, when they get a new idea, immediately what they hear is, bad idea, you tried that before, don't stick your neck out, you're not smart enough, you tried it again, don't try it again, let someone else stick their neck out. It's all fear. Fear of criticism, fear of judgment. But there are 6 fears. So you have an army against your higher mind. And that's why God in the universe did it this way. We are the only living beings that can transmute thought energy, which is an idea, into physical form. Think about it. Animals don't do this. Closest is the crow, who can create a tool. All right. So before you even begin, you want to read and study the introduction. This is all about definite purpose. None of this works if you can't get crystal clear about what you want. And interestingly, I had a week before last an intensive in goal achievement. And of all the people, there were 16 people there. Almost every single one of them, their intention was to become more clear. Well, unfortunately, what has happened over the last 20, 30 years, we have been inundated with information, as you know. We're distracted, we multitask, we jump from one thing to another, and we dissolve our ability to focus and concentrate. And over the 16 years, that's the biggest request. I can't concentrate. I can't focus on one thing anymore. It's not a problem, but it is a result of living in this wonderful society where there are so many opportunities. We jump around like whirling dervishes, like whirligigs. So no wonder you have to be able to figure out what it is you want. Crystallize the image on the screen of your mind. Think about it as though it's already happened. You've never done it before. It's only one thing. It scares you a bit. However, your desire, your tenaciousness to achieve that goal outweighs the fear. Now, fear comes back, but in the beginning, it's particularly difficult. So as soon as you get an idea that really turns you on and it's heart-centered, take 2 steps, small ones. The action will shut down the fear temporarily. It's the strongest when you first get the idea. So you have to do 2 things really quickly, like get on the internet and look up X, or pick up the phone and call someone. In the action, that's conscious. You've shut down the subconscious for a bit. And then over the period of time, fear will come back up. Why did I do this? Gosh, things aren't working out exactly. Just go back to why you did it, why you wanted it in the beginning, and you'll again counterweigh the fear. So see, one thought is dominant, and typically it's our fears. We want to change that to faith. So once you got a crystal clear idea, then we moved into desire, which is when you fall in love with what you're doing. You're a little obsessed about it. It's the starting point of all achievement. You think about it every day. It makes you feel really good. And I'm feeling good. That's how I did my book. That's what authors do, right? So they're using the principle we're getting into today to write books. You don't write them alone. Let me just leave it there. Okay, so once you have desire for something that you want very much and you're working on it a little bit each day or every other day, over time you build faith, which is the antidote for fear, which I have said to you that the idea here is to take things we've never done before that make a difference in the world and complete them, which disproves all your failures. And so that bit of faith moves into your subconscious along with your faith in God. Most of us have faith in the universe, God. We have different labels, but for me, it is one source of energetic love that is omnipresent and always wants us to do well. It's love, and it never runs out. And we are co-creators. Everything we do, the universe is doing it with us. God doesn't do it alone. and neither do we. We do it together through intuition and imagination. So then the way this happens is through autosuggestion or self-suggestion. This is the first law of learning, doing something in spaced, repetitive intervals over time. We absorb it and we believe in it and we have perfect faith in it, like 6 times 7 is 42. We'll always remember that. And then we work on imagination, and that comes up here. There's creative imagination when you get this wild idea out of the blue. This is where you have to take action right away if you fall in love with it. And then when you do get this idea and you do take 2 steps, immediately your synthetic imagination, the examples of all your experience, start filling in the puzzle pieces. Okay, so this is this wild idea. I don't know how to do it. I've even failed at it before. But I've had this experience and that experience. So that's synthetic imagination, when in your mind's eye, you resurrect the things you do know to build a picture. Why are we building a picture? Because it is the visual image on the screen of your mind and the visualization of your already having it, making a difference in the world, that increases your cellular vibration with your mind. Mind is an activity, not an organ. It is not the brain. It has a direct, what you're thinking has a direct effect on how you're feeling. If you're thinking good things, right, you might even get goosebumps. If you're thinking bad things, by the way, whatever you think the most is going to land on your doorstep. So if you're thinking, I can't do this and I've failed before, you're going to have another failure. But you have to have a compelling reason to do this thing that you've failed at. And if it's compelling enough and it's heart-centered enough, it will outweigh fear. Because remember, you're working with the universe, with God, right? So intuition and imagination are the direct portal to our universe, to that universal source of energy. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly scientifically how it works. I've just seen it work over and over and over again. I know how it works. Then we went to decision. Hey, Bella, let me just say hello here to Bella. Hi, Bello, excuse me. Bello Hawa. So glad that you're here. And Ashif shares, let's see here. The calmer we are within, the clearer we are. Yes. So clarity and focus is responsive. Emotional reactions and triggers and fear is reactive. So that's the distinction. Conscious mind, responsive, objective, thinking, subconscious mind, not thinking, reactive, emotional, ego, fears, paradigms, and they're strong. Okay, so then we got to decision. Well, if you're way back here to the introduction where you had a definite purpose, decision is easy. Again, back to focus and what specifically do you want? Because if something comes up while you're working on a goal that you're compelled to complete, all you have to do is ask the question, if I take this on, is it going to take me to my goal or not? If it won't, you just don't do it now. It's a little tough to set those boundaries because we are in an overload of opportunities, but we have to ask that question. So decision becomes easy and persistence maps to discipline, and it's vital. That's what we did last week. Okay. Okay, so let me move on here because we've got 15 minutes left. Any questions? Let me see. So glad you're here. Any thoughts? Feel free to comment any way you like. You can take the 3 dots, I think, at the top, or there's a way to share this if you're watching on LinkedIn. Not sure about YouTube, how you do that. Anyway, so this is we're going to do a couple more before the end of the year. Then the whole series will start again next year. So if you want to do something over the next couple of weeks, read the introduction 3 times and desire. Don't get ahead of yourself. You'll thank me later. Remember that studying is not the same as, oh God, here we go, reading. There we go. Okay. So we're going to talk about the writer, Dr. Napoleon Hill's experiment in this final chapter, or this final principle of the 13 principles. And it's so interesting. I kind of forgot about this character piece, but on Mondays, Paulette Hallam and I do a Mind Over Matter Mondays, and we're talking about character, building character. I didn't even realize it until I came back and read this chapter again this morning. And you do it yourself through imagining what it is you want and then visualizing it repeatedly. Now, the sixth sense, while Napoleon Hill thinks it's in the subconscious, we know now it's conscious. That we have certain mental or intellectual faculties, or let's call them mental muscles in our conscious mind that we're aware of: perception, imagination, intuition, memory, reason, and will or focus. These are the muscles that through practice, like in my program, in the work that you do, that develop in direct proportion to their use. Therefore, your conscious awareness is stronger. It recognizes the fear. It's learned. You've learned how to counteract that fear. That's a lot of what I share with you because they're real. The fears are real. And so we have to be smarter than. But we have conscious awareness, so we can be smarter than. So Napoleon Hill was testing what he knew on this 13th principle, and he started a practice of reshaping his character. And the way he did this was, you see that at the very first picture, oops, wrong way, sorry. Okay, that very first picture, this occurred every night when he went to sleep. Okay, and he did this for years. Started off with months and months and months of this practice. This is something you can do. He would shut his eyes every night and hold an imaginary council meeting. That's right. On the screen of his mind, he built this council meeting, the purpose of which he picked 9 people that he wanted to emulate their character. There were things about each of them that he really loved, and he wanted to take the best characteristics, if you will, and qualities of these 9 men and infuse them into himself. Now, he did this every night, so there's your auto-suggestion building faith, because we learn in spaced, repetitive intervals over time. So that's why he did this every night. He held this council meeting. And he called on them and had conversations with them. I know it sounds crazy, doesn't it? He couldn't explain it. I can explain it better now, 100 years later and many years of study. But these were the people that he wanted to emulate, because emulation and practice is how you can mirror or mimic, to begin with, certain attributes and behaviors that you admire. Diplomacy may be one. Intelligence could be another one. You know, there's all sorts of characteristics. Heart-centeredness, you may know someone like that. So that was the first thing that he did, and he studied them. So these were the men, and you can look them up. Emerson, Burbank, Napoleon, Paine, Darwin, Lincoln, Carnegie, Ford, and Edison. Okay, most of them, and they were alive at that time. So they could be dead, right? Or he could have selected someone who was not alive, but this is what he determined. So this is who he visualized at the boardroom table there. And he would say things like, initially, Mr. Emerson, I desire to acquire from you the marvelous understanding of nature which distinguished your life. And then he went on to the next one. Mr. Burbank, I request that you pass on to me the knowledge which enabled you to harmonize with the laws of nature. It's one of the things I teach. Napoleon, I desire to acquire from you by emulation your marvelous ability to inspire men and to arise them to a greater and a more determined spirit of action. And with pain, I desired to acquire from you the freedom of thought and the courage and clarity from which to express convictions which so distinguished you. I know these are a lot of words, right? I get that. It's a big book, right? But the idea here is you can do the same thing. Who are 9 people or even 5 people? Start with 5. Mr. Darwin, I wish to acquire from you the marvelous patience and ability to study cause and effect. Mr. Lincoln, I desire to build into my own character your keen sense of justice, the untiring spirit of patience, the sense of humor, the human understanding, and the tolerance, which were your distinguishing characteristics. And on Carnegie and Ford, right? You've been, and then Edison. I have you seated next to me at my right because of the personal cooperation you have given me. So each night he had this conversation and he would ask them questions. By the way, he was the facilitator. So that kind of put him in an advantage with what was going on in his mind. Now, look, imagination is the workshop of the mind. And you can look back 60 years ago and find Jose Silva. Jose Silva did mind control, and I've actually taken that training, and it's all about this. You see, we just didn't know in our 3-dimensional world the power yet of imagination and visualization. We're learning. Remember, I said that there's just certain missing information we don't have. It's not that we're not bright. It's just other people haven't taught us. So that's why continuous learning is so important. You're always learning. Your perception and your view is always changing. All right, who is the LinkedIn user? I'm guessing, but I don't want to stick my neck out. Oh, that looks like Kelly. Correct me if I've got it. Is that Kelly Steinecke? Anyway. All right. So as the time went on, he began to notice that these individuals were walking and talking. They'd get up and walk around the table. And it began to scare him a little bit. For example, he noticed that with Lincoln, as they were going through this meeting every night, Lincoln would get up, he'd walk around, he'd shuffle, then he'd stop. He always had this grimace on his face. He would take a pause, and Napoleon sighed. When he was asked questions, he would go, oh. So oddly enough, the character development became real. Now, he didn't really know if it was real or not when he woke up, yet he got so scared that he quit. It frightened him. And I had the same experience with meditation many years ago. When it got to the place where it was scary and his fears took over, he quit for about 6 months. And then something, oh, Janelle. Hi, Janelle. It's Janelle. Hi, Janelle. So glad you're here. He quit this practice, which had been going on for some time because of fear. And then here's what happened. One night, he was awakened with Lincoln standing over him in his bed. Now, again, he didn't know if it was real or not, but it woke him up. And Lincoln basically said, continue with your work. People need this. Do not stop your work. After that experience, Napoleon Hill resurrected these nightly meetings, and he began adding other people to his council, to where sometime later he had up to 50 people in the room. Now think about this. Taking on the characteristics in someone else that you love about them, that they've worked hard to develop, right? So you can do this same thing. You don't have to know exactly how it works. But what I can tell you is you have imagination. It's really important to see this as though it's happening with you at the table. You're the facilitator. It's not you're standing back and watching this scene. You're in the scene. And You can start with 5. You've got to pick out those people. You've got to do the research, right? What is it about them that you like so much? Then invite them in. It is one of the most powerful and amazing experiences. In fact, my book, The Possibility of Errata, was written this way, all through visualization. So you think when you write a book, and this is a little different than co-authoring, I think, but once you write a book, you are downloading, you are receiving ideas from the universe, which there are zillions of them, because you're so in love with this idea that your vibration, your cellular vibration, is the highest it can be, with love and generosity and sex. And sex was a part of what I wrote. I didn't write about sex, but I was in that mindset. So I had a very high vibration. That shut down the fear and opened up the portal to co-creation with the universe. And if you speak to anybody, the woman who wrote Harry Potter, she didn't write a thing. She said it's all downloaded, but she did with the universe. So visualization, my friends, the ability to visualize this or anything else that you want to do, actually that vibration, the way you feel, is how the universe knows what you want. So if you're feeling really great and excited, then the information you're going to get will match that vibration. Now, a lot of times it happens when you're asleep. You'll get an idea when you wake up and you hadn't thought about this before. I've had that happen many times. Gone to bed. Have you guys had that happen? Where you've gone to bed with a problem that you couldn't solve, and in the morning you woke up and there was the answer. And I think that this is when your fears are sleeping. And this is when the universe comes into your conscious mind and deposits a match to the vibration you've been holding. So the answers that you want, whatever you want, you're telling the universe by what you're thinking about the most frequently, and the way you feel when you're thinking it is how we communicate and we connect with the universe. That's like when you're praying. That's the highest form of vibration, and you mean it. And you're clear. You want this person to get well, or you want this to happen. You're actually a little obsessed. I am when I pray. I'm just a little obsessed because it's between me and the universe, and nobody's hearing what I'm saying. Somebody might think Leslie's off her rocker. Oh, I've heard that before. But I will tell you that living off your rocker and in obsession brings you back to being a child again. And it shuts down most of your fears for a long time. And you live, that's where children live, in their creative imagination. They don't have a lot of synthetic, but they have a lot of creative imagination. And notice that when they want something, they're actually picturing, they visualize themselves riding the bike. Not looking at other people riding the bike they want, but they're actually riding with their friends. That will raise your vibration. The purpose of a goal is to keep you motivated into action until you achieve it. And this is one of the ways to do it. So we're just about ready to end here. Let me check and see if there are any questions. Let's see what Ashif says. Resharing character using the sixth sense. Observation and absorption from engaging energies. Yes, and mastermind is another one of the principles. But isn't this an interesting mastermind? This isn't with three-dimensional people, right? Although Napoleon Hill says he was pretty sure they were real because they were walking around and they each had different personalities. It's extraordinary once you get into it. Oh, hey, Lay is here. I'm so glad you're here, Lay. So good to see you. Lay has created with her partner a wonderful program, bringing art and teaching together, like collapsing them together so that whatever you're teaching, you bring art in. And she's broken into the public school system like I've seen nobody else do before. So congratulations to you, Lay. All right. So we are just about done here. Right now, book 2 of Errata. Let me just see if I can make this a little bigger. Yeah. There we go. So this book that I wrote is all about visualization. And Tuesday, I'm recording the audiobook, and I've just laid out 10 of the 12 chapters for book 2, which should come out in the spring. And you should know that all of the beautiful video imagery and work is done by Aaron Gibson, who is a visionary and an extraordinary cinematographer. And there's a small group of people that are really walking right beside me as we create book 2. Lots of excitement going on. And so as you go out into your weekend, know that we're in 20 years now of the age of Aquarius, where you will grow in higher awareness. The universe has positioned you and all of us to live abundantly, colorfully, heart-centered. There hasn't been an age of Aquarius in over 250 years. And we're completing 16 years of whatever that was. Okay. And like 2 weeks ago, this started. So you're going to be listening for opportunities that you thought were coincidences, and they weren't. People will show up with ideas for you. They'll want to help you. You'll show up helping other people. It is a beautiful time. So let me just move this back. I'm going to sing you a little bit of a song as we end up. This is a little bit different. Let's see if I can get this going. Yeah. So next week, we will do the subconscious mind. And I believe that the final Friday will be how to outwit the 6 ghosts of fear. That's the epilogue, and that will teach you how to recognize and deflect fear using your conscious awareness. It can be done, but they don't go away. Your faith just gets stronger. Oh, there's my darling Chirito as we're just finishing out. Hi, darling. All right, so you can listen to this song and leave whenever you're so moved to. And I love this song, so I'm going to sing it for you, and then I'll end the live. And by the way, I figured that out, why I have so much trouble. So let me see if I can get this going. Here we go. Stay as long as you want. Know that you are loved. I took my love, took it down. Oh, I climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can it shine within my heart, rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older. I'm getting older too. Ooh. So good to see all of you. Last full moon of the year is Sunday. Make a wish. Who knows? It might come true. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Oh, I'm getting older too. Take my love, take it down. Oh, climb a mountain, then turn around. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, will the landslide bring it down? And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, will the landslide bring it down? Oh, the landslide bring it down. Go have a fabulous weekend, everybody. Reach out to me anytime you like. I'm here for you. Bye, everybody.